you. Good luck. Hello, colleagues. I'll wait for a few more others to join, and then we'll open the webinar. Welcome. I guess we can start. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are connecting us from. Welcome to the global launch of the FIP UNITWIN Pathfinder Toolkit, which is designed to enable educational partnerships around the world. Thank you for joining us live today, and thank you to those who will be watching the recording afterwards. I would like to check in with our participants today, joining from all over the world. Please let us know by typing into the chat box which organization and country you are from, so we get to know you. Next slide, please. I would like to warmly welcome our speakers, co-moderators, and panelists. At this global launch, we are together with the contributors of the FIP UNITWIN Pathfinder Toolkit, as well as FIP leadership and members who will be sharing their views on FIP-UNESCO UNITWIN Programme and the value of educational partnerships. This global launch is co-moderated by Professor Altiere, who is the chair of the FIP Education, and by Prosper Hiag, who is the president of the African Pharmaceutical Forum. I'll hand over to our moderators shortly. This digital event is facilitated by my team members, Aysu Selçuk, Alison Etukakpan, and Khalid Garba Mohammed. I would like to thank them for their support in ensuring this event runs smoothly. My name is Nihan Usman. I'm a pharmacist trained in Turkey, and I'm the lead for education policy and implementation at FIP. I'm leading FIP's relations with UNESCO and the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Programme, and I'm one of the co-editors of the FIP UNITWIN Pathfinder Toolkit. Next slide, please. Before we start, I'd like to share a couple of announcements with you. This webinar is being recorded, and it's live streamed via FIP's YouTube channel. And the recording will be available on FIP's website, events.fip.org. You may ask questions by using the question box provided in this Zoom tool or through the platform you are watching. We'll be answering your questions during the event. You are welcome to provide your feedback from webinars@fip.org, so we improve our events based on your feedback. And I'll kindly invite you to become a member of FIP from FIP's website. Next slide, please. So today's program will start with an opening and welcome by FIP and African Pharmaceutical Forum leadership, and we'll hear their high-level messages for today's event. And there will be an introduction about the FIP UNITWIN Pathfinder Toolkit. At the part one of this event, we'll discuss the value of educational partnerships, and we'll share details with you about FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Center for Excellence in Africa. And in the part two, we'll discuss establishment of an Africa-wide Pharmacy School Association. And then we'll be wrapping up and closing the events. And in the meantime, we'll be taking your questions at the end of part one and part two. Next slide, please. So the objectives for today is for participants to get to know the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Programme and the value of educational partnerships for our profession. Then we'll hear your expressions of interest to join FIP's new FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Center for Excellence from your region. And we will discuss the way forward for the establishment of an Africa-wide Pharmacy School Association. Next one. This toolkit has been developed in solidarity with colleagues from all around the world to enable educational partnerships. And our contributors span from New Zealand to Lebanon to Zambia and Puerto Rico. I would like to thank everyone for their contribution and support to the toolkit. Next slide, please. So that's all from me. And now I'm pleased to hand over to our chair and moderator for this first part of the global launch, Professor Ralph Altiere, FIPED chair. Ralph, over to you.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us today. I think it's pretty obvious that during the COVID pandemic, that's led to a tsunami of online events and meetings that occur at all hours of the day and night, and it's difficult to keep up with them. So within that context, we truly appreciate all of you for taking the time to join our launch event today. So I'm Ralph Altiere, Dean of the University of Colorado Skaggs School of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences in the US. I serve as director of the FIP-UNESCO UNITWIN Programme and its Center for Excellence in Africa, and I'm also chair of FIP Education. So it's my pleasure to be co-chairing this event that will set us on a course to expand the UNITWIN program globally, building on the lessons learned and the successes of our initial program in sub-Saharan Africa. We'll begin with remarks from FIP and African Pharmaceutical Forum leadership before commencing into the launch of the Pathfinder Toolkit. So to begin with, it's my pleasure to introduce Dominique Jourdan, who is a practicing community pharmacist in Switzerland and president of FIP. Dominique.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to introduce the FIP UNITWIN Pathfinder Toolkit for setting up a new FIP UNITWIN Centers for Excellence and establishing pharmacy schools associations. Through platforms of best practice and knowledge sharing, academic institutions, educational stakeholders and partners play significant roles in transforming healthcare and our societies. In our noble profession, we can see evidence of educational transformations from national and regional associations of pharmacy schools and through the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Programme. The United Nations has set 2030 as the deadline to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals and strategy and tactics for the years ahead to be able to meet that deadline. FIP has aligned strategic delivery through the FIP development goals to advance the pharmacy profession. We believe and have seen that there is no pharmacy practice without education and scientific foundations. Therefore, FIP supports educational and scientific transformations that build on and consolidate these foundations. FIP cannot do transformations alone, and we need to partner with educators, scientists, and relevant stakeholders. Because our mission is global advancement of our profession, we also partner with a major United Nations agency, UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. FIP UNESCO partnership will position UNITWIN Centers for Excellence as a fundamental pathway to advance the pharmacy profession globally through educational and scientific partnerships, leadership of academic institutions, educational stakeholders, and partners. So far, for a decade, we have done this through the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Center for Excellence in Africa and the FIP UNITWIN Pathfinder Toolkit takes learnings from a decade of partnership through the Center for Excellence in Africa and provides guidance and tips from which others can benefit. I extend my sincere gratitude to the founders of the Center for Excellence in Africa and to its members for their vision, expertise, and most importantly, their efforts for sustaining the success for a decade. We are proud of our African colleagues. We have paved the way for the global expansion of FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Centers for Excellence across all regions of the world. We know we can build on the learnings to provide guidance and provisions to other regions to meet the educational and scientific needs of their countries, institutions, and regions. The FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Programme will facilitate educational and scientific transformations across regions and countries to improve pharmacy as a profession while promoting good health and well-being. I am confident that this FIP UNITWIN Pathfinder Toolkit provides necessary direction and resources to realize this mission. The real success of the future FIP UNESCO UNITWIN networks relies on the motivation, engagement, and support of country representatives, including national professional bodies, pharmacy schools, and key educational and scientific stakeholders. I count on country representatives to take ownership of educational and scientific transformations in their countries with the support of the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Programme. Similarly, the partnership with pharmacy schools associations from around the world has shown the importance of working in collaboration and solidarity to put trust in action. Major professional progress has been achieved through these associations in the areas of scientific research and educational policy transformation. We will support the members of the Center for Excellence in Africa and the entire community of the African Pharmaceutical Education with this toolkit, so an Africa-wide association of pharmacy schools can be established in the region. This will ensure the activities of the Center for Excellence in Africa will be sustained, and the entire region will act in solidarity for advancing pharmaceutical education. I thank the African Pharmaceutical Forum for their leadership for facilitating the future establishment of an Africa-wide association of pharmacy schools. During my presidency, FIP will host a health ministers summit where we will report progress against the FIP development goals to demonstrate not only the impact of our commitment to action on the WHO Astana Declaration of 2018, but also our commitment to deliver the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Programme and prepare the path ahead for future pharmacists and pharmaceutical scientists through educational reform. With the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Programme and our partner Africa-wide Pharmacy Schools Association, I am confident that we will report progress on the global health by advancing pharmacy practice and science to enable better drug discovery and development, as well as access to and safe use of appropriate, cost-effective, quality medicines worldwide for good health and well-being through educational and scientific transformation. Long live pharmaceutical education, long live FIP. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dominique, for painting that big picture of FIP, the role of UNITWIN, and the partnerships of FIP and its global work, and of course for highlighting the importance of education in this entire process of advancing pharmacy practice and services globally. Next, we will hear from Prosper Haig, who is the president of the African Pharmaceutical Forum from Cameroon. He will be chairing the part 2 of today's event. So Prosper, it's over to you.
Thank you, Ralph. Dear colleague, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor and pleasure to welcome you on behalf of APF, African Pharmaceutical Forum. FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Programme has proven its success in Africa and now expanding to other regions. It is important to emphasize Africa demonstrated a good practice to the world. The FIP-UNESCO UNITWIN Cooperation Programme in Global Pharmacy Education Development started its activities by setting up FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Center of Excellence in Africa with founding partners, deans, and heads of pharmacy schools from Ghana, Namibia, Nigeria, Malawi, Uganda, and Zambia. At one of our annual meetings of FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Center for Excellence in Africa, which was held in Kenya in 2019, participants of the meeting who were the academics and pharmacy stakeholders across the continent unanimously agreed that it is essential to set up an African-wide school of pharmacy association to expand the value of UNITWIN Center for Excellence in Africa across the whole continent. APF, African Pharmaceutical Forum, leadership and ownership in the region, will lead the facilitation of the Africa-wide Pharmacy School Association. This could be the key of the success of this endeavor, as it's led by African for Africans. We encourage colleagues around other regions to step up, engage, and motivate each other, as transformation can only be in solidarity. I thank other pharmacy school associations around the world for providing their expertise in the toolkit to support colleagues of my region of Africa. This demonstrates a true global solidarity for our profession. Also, thanks to FIP, UNESCO, and training universities for support and leadership. The Africa-wide Pharmacy School Association can be the key to the implementation of FIP development goals across Africa. It also strengthens the one FIP concept. Together, we go a long way. Thank you.
Thank you, Prosper, for your support of the UNITWIN program and the Center for Excellence in Africa, and for leading the effort to establish this African Pharmacy Schools Association. And we look forward to seeing you a bit later in the program when we get to part 2. It's also my pleasure now to call upon Catherine Duggan, who's the CEO of FIP, for her remarks. Catherine.
Thank you so much, Ralph. And what an honor to be part of this launch today alongside yourself, Dominique and Prosper, with our introductory words, all amazing leaders across FIP. We are delighted to see the FIP UNITWIN Pathfinder Toolkit to support the setup of new FIP UNITWIN Centres of Excellence and establishing pharmacy schools associations. And building on the successes of the past decade of collaboration with UNESCO and through the UNITWIN Programme, we have forged alliances and partnerships to create platforms for collaborations to increase access to educational expertise and experiences across Africa. As we all know, FIP signed up to the Astana Declaration in October 2018 in Kazakhstan. And there, we ensured that pharmacy took its rightful place as a key profession, a fundamental profession in the delivery of universal health coverage through primary healthcare. For us as a profession to be able to demonstrate our contribution to universal health coverage to patients globally, we need goals to direct our work, priority areas to focus, and measures of impact to demonstrate how well we are doing. The 3 areas that FIP agreed to support were NCDs, prevention, and safety. We started charting commitments to delivery across the Eastern Mediterranean region and Europe in 2019, with plans to cover the other 4 regions in the coming 2 years ahead of the Health Ministers Summit. And then, colleagues, we all know COVID struck. So last year, we launched the FIP development goals, which built on the pharmaceutical workforce development goals that had been developed and launched in 2016, taking forward the concept of always building on what has worked at FIP. We also refreshed the FIP Global Pharmaceutical Observatory, the data hub of the Federation, and made sure both aligned for the decade ahead. So of course, colleagues, while it's important that we provide evidence of impact to support the Astana Declaration at a Ministers' Summit in 2023, as Dominique has outlined, we also need to build the workforce for future delivery of universal health coverage by planning and delivering educational innovation and support to our academic institutions and our academic colleagues, educators worldwide. Without planning the workforce of the future, both the numbers and the skill sets, the capacity and capability, we will not be able to deliver our potential. As President Jourdan mentioned in his speech, we need our members across countries to step up to facilitate transformation in your countries, in your nations. You have the resources and the competencies, and FIP is beside you, committed to providing the global platform for you through the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Programme. We are here to support, we are here to guide, we are here to share. Therefore, the Pathfinder Toolkit takes on a greater importance for us today than ever before, given the imperatives of our profession, for us to be able to demonstrate the impact of our roles on all elements of primary healthcare. That's workforce, that's science and practice, underpinned by education. We need to build the workforce of the future, and by twinning and sharing and collaborating, we leave nobody behind. Thank you so much, Ralph. Over to you.
Thank you, Catherine, for placing into perspective all the work that we're doing in UNITWIN and its role as a platform for reaching FIP goals, as you mentioned, in the Sustainable Development Goals and the goals of FIP. So following on our leadership's comments, I think it's well known that the health workforce variations, shortages, and imbalances across countries and regions has been a global challenge towards achieving universal health coverage. And an integral part of universal health coverage is access to essential medicines and appropriate use of medicines that requires a competent, adaptable, and adequate pharmaceutical workforce as the medicines experts, as Catherine has just mentioned. In 2010, FIP and UNESCO, in collaboration with the University College London School of Pharmacy, established the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Cooperation Programme in Global Pharmacy Education Development. The FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Programme was the first UNESCO program with non-governmental organization involvement through FIP and the first program for healthcare professions education. Building on more than a decade of experience with the African pharmacy education through the UNITWIN program and the Center for Excellence in Africa, last year, FIP launched the FIP Pharmacy Education in Sub-Saharan Africa report, first of its kind record of pharmacy education in Africa, which provides a synopsis of the needs and the priorities of pharmacy education in Sub-Saharan African countries, with a particular focus on academic capacity and needs-based education. There has been a strong commitment, engagement, and support from our colleagues, the founding members of the UNESCO Center for Excellence in Africa, those who contributed chapters in and those who worked behind the scenes on generating that pharmacy education in Sub-Saharan Africa report. And of course, FIP leadership who have remained committed to realizing FIP's mission of advancing pharmaceutical education through FIP and UNESCO's partnership. So I extend my sincere thanks and gratitude to all for the efforts you have put into this program and for the achievements that you will continue to make. So what are the drivers behind the FIP UNITWIN Pathfinder Toolkit, and along which paths will this toolkit lead us? To begin, we know, as already mentioned, that pharmacy practice requires a strong education and scientific foundation. Building on the learnings from the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Center for Excellence in Africa, FIP is committed to enabling further educational partnerships through the UNITWIN program to realize the One FIP mission of advancing our profession through education and scientific transformations. FIP has committed to implement the FIP development goals aimed at strengthening education, science, and practice, and again, report on its progress to health ministers worldwide. The transformations we need in our profession requires advancement in all three areas. The UNITWIN Pathfinder Toolkit will aid in the global expansion of centers for excellence for pharmaceutical education institutions to other regions of the world to help achieve these goals of FIP. Secondly, as mentioned by Prosper at our annual meeting of the African Center for Excellence held in Kenya in 2019, participants who were both academics and pharmacy stakeholders from across the continent unanimously agreed that it was essential to set up an Africa-wide association of pharmacy schools to expand the reach and the value of the UNITWIN Center for Excellence across the whole continent. So today I'm delighted that we are launching the FIP UNITWIN Pathfinder Toolkit, which will act as a guide for establishing further networks in regions around the world, as well as supporting the African academic institutions to establish this Association of Schools of Pharmacy in Africa. For the latter, the Africa-wide association, as Prosper mentioned, will be led by Africans for Africans with the leadership of the African Pharmaceutical Forum, led by Prosper Haig. And we thank you for stepping up and leading this effort. It is our intent and hope that you will find benefit from this launch and use the toolkit to find paths forward for educational partnerships in your country and in your regions to meet your healthcare needs. And very importantly, as part of what UNITWIN program is all about, is to share your achievements and best practices across all the UNITWIN regional programs to elevate education, science, and practice. It has been a privilege for FIP to collaborate on this report with UNESCO and with members of the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Center for Excellence in Africa, with pharmacy school associations from around the world and various FIP members and officers. And I extend my sincere gratitude to the Toolkit team. You saw their names earlier, but to mention a few: Isu Selchuk, Alison Echukakben, Khalid Garba Mohammed, and masterfully led, I might add, by Nilhan Usman for their coordination and committed work to make this toolkit a reality. So thank you, everyone, and I will now turn the program over to Alison.
Thank you, Raul, for the very detailed overview about UNITWIN. Hi, colleagues and friends. I am Alison Echukakben, a pharmacist trained here in Nigeria. I'm one of the educational partnership coordinators at FIP. I'm working with Nilhan to coordinate the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN project. I'm really passionate about changing the narrative of our dear profession through quality education. And it's really my pleasure today to give you the overview of this unique FIP UNITWIN Pathfinder Toolkit. I will be sharing with you a brief about the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Programme, how it aligns with the FIP development goals, the drivers and purpose of this toolkit, which Ralph has shared some highlights already. I would also be sharing with you the content of the toolkit, as well as how you can access this very unique and resourceful toolkit. Next slide, please. So we have that the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Programme as you may see from this slide, has great timelines and milestones. And for our colleagues who may not be fully aware of what this program does, and which Ralph has already mentioned earlier on, we seek to advance research, training, and curriculum development in pharmacy education by building university networks and encouraging inter-university cooperation worldwide. This program was established in 2010, and it's the first of its kind in higher education for health professionals. So moving forward in 2014, the agreement was renewed after the African Center for Excellence was done. And in 2018, there was a needs assessment which showed and identified African regional needs in pharmaceutical education and workforce. The whole of this needs assessment and prioritization led to a renewed strategy, and the target of the network was to now increase academic capacity, needs-based education, and advocacy for pharmacy profession. The Center for Excellence in Africa has shown great success and learning of investing in educational partnerships, and this has been published in the FIP Education, Pharmacy Education in Sub-Saharan African report last year, that was 2020. Moving forward now in 2021, we aim to share this learning from the Center of Excellence in Africa on this learnings about pharmaceutical education transformation through education partnerships across all regions for the purpose of advancing pharmacy practice and pharmaceutical science. This will include setting up new regional centers, as Ralph has mentioned, as well as the African Center, and very interestingly, the UNITWIN Educational Transformation Toolkit. All this aligns with the One FIP Global Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Science Agenda and numerous FIP development goals. Next slide, please. You may see from this slide the different FIP development goals that the UNITWIN program aligns with. And we aim to improve academic capacity, early career training, quality assurance, and other FIP DGs highlighted on the slide through the UNITWIN program. Next slide, please. Now, discussing about the FIP UNITWIN Pathfinder Toolkit. This toolkit, as already mentioned by Ralph, builds on the way forward of the African report. And as Ralph also mentioned, in order for us to meet this way forward, which includes building new partnerships, establishing the African Association of Pharmacy Schools, and also expanding the FIP UNITWIN programs across regions, there is like an immediate need to provide clear and practical guidance for pharmacy education and workforce stakeholders, not only across Africa, but across the whole world, including faculty members, academic pharmacy leaders, academic institutions, students, policymakers, pharmacy education and practice regulators. We all need to share these learnings in order to meet our educational and scientific needs. Therefore, this toolkit is driven by the demands and the needs of the educational stakeholders, and it meets these needs by supporting the planned global expansion of the UNITWIN program to bring the work that was done in the Center for Excellence in Africa and the One FIP agenda together. The toolkit provides a stepwise guidance to academic institutions to establish UNITWIN networks in regions across the world. And it also supports the African academic institutions to establish an African-wide association of schools of pharmacy and pharmaceutical science. Very important, this toolkit acknowledges that all these wouldn't have been possible without the great work of our African partners. Thus, it recognizes the founders and the leaders of the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Center for Excellence. Next slide, please. Sharing the contents of this toolkit, it might interest you to know first that this toolkit is a digital toolkit, so it's going to be online. I will share the details with you very soon, but in the meantime, the toolkit has 3 chapters, which are all aligned with the purpose that we've discussed already. The first chapter provides a general introduction and a background to the toolkit. There you would see all about the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Programme, the One FIP Global Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Science Agenda, and you would see the value for educational partnership. Why actually is educational partnership important, especially during times like this? So all of these are in the chapter 1 of the toolkit. Next slide, please. Now, the second chapter gives resources and information for setting up new regional centers. This includes case studies from the partners at the Center for Excellence in Africa. It also provides operational resources on transforming pharmacy education through educational networks using the Center for Excellence in Africa approach. The third chapter provides details about existing pharmacy and pharmaceutical science school associations from around the world. These case studies and profiles of pharmacy school associations all around the world will support the African partners in setting up African-wide pharmacy school associations. The toolkit concludes with learnings as we go, which describes the key findings and way forward areas for future research as well. Next slide. So one may ask, how do I get to access this very unique and special toolkit? It's a digital toolkit, as I said, and it's really, really user-friendly. You can access this online on the FIP website. That's the link you see on the screen there, and my colleague could share the link on the chat box for you so you could access the toolkit. You can as well use your phone to scan the QR code you see on the screen, and you'll be redirected to the toolkit, which you access online. Some parts of this toolkit, especially the chapter 2 and the chapter 3, will only be accessible to FIP and academic institution members only. And if you're a member of FIP, you will be required to log in with your member ID and password to access this content. But if you're not a member of FIP, you would need to register and be a member in order to gain access to this content. Next slide. As I mentioned earlier, that this toolkit is for academic institutional members of FIP, as well as other educational stakeholders. These FIP AIM members benefit from the expertise of dynamic group of academic leaders that are working collaboratively to improve pharmacy education around the world. And as we are discussing educational partnerships today, this is another approach of educational partnership shared by FIP. We invite all academic institutions to scan the QR code on the right side of the screen in order to apply to become a member of this network. I am very happy to take any questions you may have about the toolkit during the Q&A section. Feel free to send in your questions, and thank you very much. Over to you, Ralph.
Thank you, Allison, for that great overview of the toolkit and access to it. I think everybody can hear from Allison the commitment and the passion she has for the UNITWIN program and the Center in Africa. She's worked with us for the past several years, and it's been an absolute pleasure to have her working with us and supporting the goals that we have. So we'll move on to part one now, which is the educational partnership and the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Center for Excellence. And we're going to begin with a special guest speaker today, Professor Ann Anderson, who's Professor Emeritus and Vice Chair of the UK National Commission for UNESCO. Ann?
Thank you, Ralph, and it's wonderful to be with you all today. As Ralph has said, I am Vice Chair of the UK National Commission for UNESCO with special responsibility for higher education, and we are very pleased in the United Kingdom to have been part of the initial stages of this important UNITWIN network. One of the privileges of my role is to help support UNESCO chairs and UNITWIN partnerships. And I'm not only delighted to be with you today, but I was able to really get a sense of the important work that this programme is doing in pharmacy education as you launch your Pathfinder Toolkit. UNESCO places great value on UNITWIN networks as a key mechanism for building strong partnerships for global north-south and south-south links in higher education. And we in UNESCO know that such links are absolutely valuable in sharing expertise and best practice, and as a powerful way to make progress towards the UN Sustainable Development Goals. I had the opportunity last year to be with you when the report on pharmacy education in sub-Saharan Africa was launched. And it was a really wonderful example of a strong network collaborating to produce a really excellent resource for its members on a critically important topic. The pandemic has cruelly reminded us all about the critical importance of all aspects of healthcare systems across the globe. And pharmacy education have very important roles to play as we deal with the pandemic on top of all the other healthcare challenges which we face around the world. UNESCO has key themes which I was pleased to see that this network was taking really seriously. One of those being a focus on Africa, and the kind of work you are doing in Africa in this network is really commendable. And the other is the importance of progression towards gender equality. I know there was a decade of work which preceded the launch of the report, and this has been a major achievement for all concerned in the FIP UNITWIN network. And that the toolkit which we're hearing about today is drawing on those lessons to help others in other parts of the world establish effective networks. And it's an absolutely important contribution, completely aligned with UNESCO's values and our aspirations for UNITWIN partnerships. So briefly, as a non-pharmacist, it is absolutely wonderful to be with you today and to see the great work that this network is doing. And I wish you every success, not just today, but as the UNITWIN FIP partnership goes forward into the future. Thank you so much for all that you're doing.
And thank you, Ann, for your support of the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN program and for our efforts to expand this out now globally. We really appreciate working with you. We'll next hear from one of our founding members of the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Center for Excellence in Africa, Professor and former Dean of the Faculty of Pharmacy at the University of Benin, Cyril Usophil. Cyril, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Ralph. Briefly put, we had the opportunity to come together as Africans, and when we discussed in Düsseldorf, we were able to put things together to start the FIP UNITWIN Center of Excellence. And our first meeting was in Ghana in 2013, and then we went to Zambia 2014. Discussions followed 2015 in Malawi, and then we continued 2016 in Namibia. And we met 2018 in Lagos, and finally with the launch in Mombasa in 2019. Incidentally, Ghana, Namibia, Nigeria, Uganda, Zambia, Malawi were the founding members, and we signed the FIP UNITWIN agreement for higher education and for centers of excellence. It has metamorphosed into several things, like the slide shows. That was the meeting we had in Lagos, where we were able to discuss working groups like the need-based education, advocacy, and academic capacity with various leaders to lead this particular forum. But like I said, other countries were interested, And we actually took the opportunity and discussed, and that is why we're talking about the African Pharmaceutical Forum. I hope and I believe strongly that this will lead us into making more contributions to education in Africa, and then we'll be able to integrate ourselves and help ourselves and be able to work together in the situation that we found ourselves. Frankly put, I must say that FIP UNITWIN UNESCO Programme partnership has helped a couple of African countries. I have been able, for example, to be a standard examiner to the School of Pharmacy in Malawi. And I know there have been a couple of cooperative as a standard examiner, even as assistant professors. And we look forward to opportunities that will arise so that we can assist one another in Africa and be able to bring pharmacy to the limelight as we expect it to be. With this, I want to say that kudos to those who have worked tirelessly to make sure that these things actually work out, and particularly to Ralph, who is at the helm of affairs, and other people in the team. I want to say kudos to you and believe things will be better for the future. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Cyril, for your leadership and for your reflections on the center in Africa. And seeing you on the screen, I'm thinking, like, why didn't I wear my Nigerian shirt that I got in Lagos instead of a tie and jacket that's like choking me, you know?
You're right.
And I still wear them, I'll tell you, in the summertime here.
Oh, great,
yes.
Great. Great.
Lastly, in this part, we will hear from a very important, all-important staff lead from FIP, and that's Nilhan Usman, without whom I have to say we would not have made nearly as much progress as we have. So Nilhan, we appreciate the support and the leadership you've provided to the program, and it's all yours now.
Thank you. Thanks, Ralph, for your kind words. It's a pleasure to lead this program. Colleagues, I'll just wrap up part one with what we are going to do next, and if UNITWIN is coming to your region and how that's going to happen. So next slide, please. So FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Programme has been a decade-long program, and we are currently having engagement with UNESCO UK National Commission, where Professor Ann Anderson is from, to renew our agreement. And it required us to revisit our value proposition. And I wanted to mention this briefly to you, just to re-emphasize before I explain how we are going to set up the new UNITWIN Center for Excellence in other regions, building on the African experience. So as FIP leaders has mentioned, FIP development goals are our guiding stars to progress our profession. And what we are going to do through the UNITWIN program will be driven by the FIP development goal needs and priorities of the countries. So we will build our pathway through the FIP development goals. We'll hear from institutions, we'll hear from countries, we'll hear from you what kind of actions and needs you have, your country needs in terms of FIP development goals. And FIP constitutes different membership. So we have the academic institutional members, we have individual academic members in our academic pharmacy sections. We have BPS, Board of Pharmaceutical Sciences, where we have the pharmaceutical scientists. And of course, we have our national pharmacy bodies and different membership categories focusing on pharmaceutical sciences. So we'll offer the UNITWIN network as a benefit to our members. So when they will support them and will convene them based on the regions, we'll identify their needs, and we work with our regional partners across the world in order to transform pharmacy education. And of course, because this is a UNESCO partnership with a major United Nations body on education and science for our part, the members who are part of this program will be also officially recognized by a major UN agency. And this is a benefit we are offering as FIP to engage you with global educational and science priorities. And with that, we are aiming to advance pharmacy education globally. That's a part of FIP's mission. And we are confident that this UNITWIN program has been and will be advancing pharmaceutical education globally. Next slide, please. And I just wanted to share a few details because it's fresh plans and we wanted to tell you exactly what's going to happen and how you can be a part of this program. So we will first start with identifying regional needs and priorities. So from August to September this year, we will be identifying needs of our members, focusing on education, on FIP development goals, and we will collect needs from our FIP AAM members with their profiles. And if we have one click, we'll be able to have regional SWOT analysis for all of the region, focusing on education, not just education for education, but education for science, education for our practice or for our profession. And in October, we will conduct regional needs assessment workshop with our members. Next click, please. And at the end of this workshop, based on the regional SWOTs, we'll be developing a regional roadmap with you and based on your needs and priorities. And in December, this will be leading us to a global summit. And the click, please, where we will issue a call to action for what kind of actions that needs to be done in every region in terms of educational transformation. And based on our UNESCO agreement, we'll be aiming to announce the next FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Centers for Excellence. And moving on, we will be starting the educational transformation program. So we hear your needs, and within the UNITWIN networks of regions, we'll make sure we'll facilitate the necessary educational partnerships. So we'll transform the education in your region and in your country. And the final click. And this will facilitate education and scientific partnerships between universities, between countries for transformation. So this is the formula for what we are going to do next. Next slide, please. And so first of all, to understand, to see a real evidence of this same story, last year we launched the FIP Pharmacy Education in Sub-Saharan Africa report. And this basically, the same process I explained to you has been done with our African colleagues from Center for Excellence in Africa, and we launched this in a report. So I'm going to share the link from the chat, and you may visit our report to see a real story of how this has been done, how educational transformation has been achieved with our UNITWIN Center in Africa. And in early August, we are aiming to send invitations for the pre-work in order to perform the needs assessment in your countries, in your regions. And if you are not a FIP-A member yet, I invite you to become an FIP member. And if you have any questions, you may contact us at education@fip.org. We are hoping to see you at our regional workshops. We are hoping to get your needs and priorities through our pre-work. So we look forward to hear from you. This is my last slide. And I'll hand over back to Ralph. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Nilhan. Appreciate those words and our plans for moving forward. So we're at the Q&A part now, and there have been a few questions placed in the chat already. I'm not sure what's in the Q&A box. I think one of the questions has to do with dealing with how are we partnering with the French-speaking countries in Africa, and certainly this is part of the African Pharmaceutical Forum, and as we move forward, we're getting help from them on this issue, and so I might ask Prosper if he could help to address that question. Bringing in French-speaking countries.
The question. The question.
How does how can UNITWIN take into account the universities in French-speaking countries?
Okay, I think the question was how UNITWIN. Alors, comment le programme UNITWIN peut s'étendre dans les pays francophones? This is I think it's the question.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are on the way through APF, through the African Pharmaceutical Forum. We are working to put together Francophone, Anglophone, Hispanophone, Usophone, Portuguese,
yes.
Portuguese,
Uh-huh.
Portuguese, Spanish-speaking countries. I think that is why we are launching this toolkit today, and we are organizing this part 2 of creating this wide association of pharmacy school in Africa. There will be no difference between Anglophone, Francophone, and the others.
Yes.
The way.
Great. Thank you, Prosper, for that. And I do think the African Association of Schools will be very helpful in bringing together the various countries with the different languages to work together.
I want to add something, Ralph, about that. 2 weeks ago, I got a call from the West African College of
Postgraduate,
Yes. And they asked me, what is this? This was created for Francophone and Anglophone, but we don't see Francophone coming. They are no longer coming at the West African Postgraduate School of Pharmacy. I think we have to do something together with them. We have to launch this association. We have to work Nigerian, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, Cameroon, Algeria. We have to work together to create this pharmacy school association. It's important. It's essential for the development of the workforce in our continent.
Yes, agreed. I think we have some examples from other regions of the world that can probably help in this, and I think we'll get to that in part 2.
Yeah.
So great. Another question was, how can you have efficient pharmacy education during a pandemic when you can't have face-to-face activities? And, this is a challenge that virtually every country of the world has been trying to deal with in various ways. And the one thing I can say on behalf of FIP is there's been a number of programs and webinars that have addressed this issue with participants from multiple countries around the world and how they are trying to deal with this. You can even find some of these that are recorded on the FIP website. So that's a resource that I think you can use to help address that. I see Anne would like to respond.
Just on that point, Ralph, UNESCO as a whole is curating a lot of international good practice about how we can respond to the pandemic challenges in higher education, and again on the website.
Yeah, great. That's good news. Good to hear. Another resource for people. No question that it's a challenge, and we're all trying to do the best we can. I don't think anybody has perfected it at this point, but of course we keep learning new things every day. So those are a couple of resources that you could go to. Another one was more of a comment about the African pharmaceutical industry through the African Pharmaceutical Network. Yes, clearly that sector also has to be included in what we're doing, at least on the education side, to support the workforce for the pharmaceutical industry. And I know that some African countries want to expand or initiate pharmaceutical industry. So this is on the radar screen of FIP education. It's one of the goals I have as the chair, to bring more of that into FIP education and how we can help develop that workforce. So that will also be an integral part of what we'll be doing going forward, I think, with UNITWIN and with this association in Africa. So Allison, any other questions that we might have to address at this point?
Okay, thank you, Ralph. So one more question. There is a question about the launch of these regional centers and how this has been, which countries are going to be targeted in building the new centers. So I don't know if you could respond to that, maybe Nilhan. Thank you.
So I think you'll see in the toolkit sort of the essential steps you might want to take to begin discussions about this and then eventually forming a center. But I'm going to let Nilhan address that in a little more detail. I think she'll be talking about that later today too. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for the question. So our plan is to first perform the needs assessment, and of course, for that we would like to invite you to become an FIP member, to join our network, either individually or through the AM membership. And when we have the needs assessment, we will do a prioritization, and we'll start with 1 or 2 regions to launch the UNITWIN centers. It really depends on the needs and priorities. We may do a batching, grouping of different regions, so that depends on the responses we will receive. And then, of course, for those for the regions we will launch the center next, we will of course engage these groups through other activities. And I think the easiest answer would be to welcome you at our regional workshop, which will be conducted in October, and the invitations and the pre-work will be sent early August. So if you are interested and not a member yet, you may contact us at education@fip.org, and we'll respond to you with the necessary steps. Hope this has been a good answer.
So I see, yep, I see there's a question for Joycelyn about including other pharmacy support staff. I think that Allison may be responding to that in writing, but the example was pharmacy technicians. Interesting, this is a very timely question because we are just now bringing the pharmacy technicians group into the FIP Education Executive Committee and making it an integral part of FIP education. And that, I think, will help spur the inclusion of pharmacy support staff, pharmacy technicians in education programs as we're going forward. So that's sort of been going around in the background. There have been symposia at FIP congresses the last several years on pharmacy technicians, and it is becoming an integral part of FIP Ed, and that will certainly be a part of, I think, of UNITWIN programs as we go forward. Mm-hmm. How are we doing on time, Nilhan or Allison? Do we have time for more questions, or do we need to move on?
Let's move on to part 2, and
Okay.
we'll be answering the remaining questions from the chat box,
Okay.
Q&A box. Thank
Okay.
you.
Great. Well, part 2 is establishing this African-wide Pharmacy Schools Association. So we'll move on to that. Could we have the next slide, please? And that'll be led by Prosper Hayek, sorry. But first we have to celebrate today, because today, we did not schedule this, by the way, I have to tell you. He informed us of this after we had the schedule, but today is his birthday. So we wish all of you a very, very happy birthday, and look forward to many more years of celebrating with you and working with you going forward.
Thank you.
So I don't know, I think there's something
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Do we have, like, virtual applause for Prosper. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great.
Happy birthday.
Okay. That's enough celebration. Now we're putting you to work, Prosper, so you can share this part 2 of today's event.
Thank you, Ralph, for giving me the floor for the second part. Very important part of our session of today. It's my pleasure to welcome you again in this panel session. We'll talk about establishing an African-wide pharmacy association. But before entering this topic, I would like to invite Aisu Selsu. She will tell us about what do we have in the toolkit and what will be the benefit of the toolkit. I know that Alison has said many interesting things, but maybe she had something to add for us at this level. Thank you. You have the floor, Aisu.
Hello, Prosper and everyone. This is Aisu. I'm an Educational Partnership Coordinator at FIP, and I have academic role and advisory role in Turkey at Ankara University and Turkish Pharmacist Association. So I would like to share how we developed a chapter about establishing pharmacy school associations in our toolkit. In method, we did a literature review to identify key points for the establishment of an association. Based on the review, we developed a case study on their shared experiences. Simply, we asked 6 main questions to provide features about the associations themselves. Then we invited 13 participants, and then we asked them questions from the case studies. So these participants are from 6 WHO regions. In this slide, you are seeing the 13 participants that were invited. Thanks again to our colleagues for their valuable support in the case study. Based on the responses from the case studies, we identified 4 domains, including structure and membership, sustainability, member services, and engagement for the key success of pharmacy schools associations. The first domain is structure and membership. Our experts recommend that organized governance and structure coordinate communications between members and achieve high level of engagement. Members must be diverse, whether individual members or member institutions from a very broad range of countries. For the sustainability, it is important to have a regular and strong communication with members. While some experts suggested, some experts actually have a leadership pipeline or leadership support program for training of future leaders in their associations. We recognize some member services that are useful for the association's success and having worldwide name and impact. So these are publishing peer-reviewed journal, providing platform for educational engagement that are useful for the association's success, and also providing internship or exchange for under and or postgraduate students, and even for academicians. Meeting regularly with key stakeholders to promote profession and establish a pharmacy education quality assurance system can be a good example and can be a success. And networking opportunities for members to attain innovation and excellence in education and scholarship, policy development and advocacy in areas including updating curricula, offering instructions for integrated degree programs, assessment of performance outcomes, health workforce planning and accreditation. And the last domain, engagement, covers collaboration with other healthcare associations such as nursing and medicine, presenting position on pharmacy, education, and health-related issues, following the relevant national and international agendas are instrumental for the associations. I would like to conclude that establishing pharmacy schools associations is one of the ways for educational partnership. It facilitates academic networking, sharing of ideas, innovations, and expertise. It advances pharmacy education and healthcare. The chapter was developed especially for our colleagues from Africa to support the establishment of Africa-wide pharmacy school associations. Therefore, UNITWIN Center for Excellence in Africa will be sustainable. I would like to thank APF for their leadership in this initiative. Now, I am handing back to you, Prosper, for the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisu. Thank you for giving us all those information, mainly the key success conditions to achieve our goal. I think we have to be organized, we have to be focused on that objective, and we will succeed with the advice, the lesson that are in the toolkit, and what we have learned from you. Thank you very much. Now we are going to our panel, and the panel is very diverse. I think members from the mainly school, mainly educator, mainly professor, and we want to share with them their experiences and to look forward. I would like to tell you that we have competence from South Africa. We have Zambia here, Nigeria, Algeria. Cameroon was supposed to be there, but unfortunately, Giselle didn't attend the meeting. She has another meeting in Yaoundé. And we will have the experience of Puerto Rico, of Iberia, America Conference of School of Pharmacy. I would like to ask two questions. The first, I will ask it to Yaya from South Africa. Could you describe the needs of an African-wide pharmacy school association from your perspective, your own perspective, and what could be the benefit of such association to your institution, country, and region? Yeah.
Thank you, Prosper, and thank you to the FIP for this wonderful initiative, and to the UNITWIN colleagues. So, this initiative of an African-wide pharmacy school of association, quality education and training are key to the development of a sustainable pharmaceutical workforce on the continent to meet our public health and also our healthcare needs in the continent. And this toolkit can be a means of standardized training to bridge our gaps in our professional differences as pharmacists on the continent in different regions, and also providing pharmaceutical services, these professional differences that occur across borders. I see this association also to implement programs that can, drive a needs-based pharmaceutical approach to education via curriculum innovation, different methods of teaching and learning, and also access to intellectual resources and infrastructure across different schools, and to share the limited resources that we have on the continent and obviously build together. It also will be a very important thing to address human capacity and skill shortages, by facilitating what we can term as cross-border movement of expertise in a much more easier way, and to promote cooperation and unifying to share these limited resources that we have on the continent. And linked to this will also be important for, workforce retention, so that we don't lose personnel, pharmacy personnel in Africa to other regions of the world, and help build what we actually have developed. And also a way of, harmonizing the training in the regulatory sciences, especially the medicines regulatory affairs. Those are important to ensure wider access to medicines that are assured quality, And also if we have a strong regulatory system, especially now with the epidemics and pandemics that are around, where there needs to be an increased demand for speedy approval of certain, whether it's vaccines, therapeutics, diagnostics, and decision-making. So having a more harmonized training in the regulatory sciences for the various regions within Africa, I see this association can pull all of that together. And then obviously, the last thing I want to say is the increase on our scale of impact. There's lots of pockets of excellence on the African continent. And what we need to reduce is fragmentation and working in silos. And I think a more coordinated approach, in terms of pharmaceutical innovation, in terms of, developing entrepreneurial mindset, so that we can have our own, shape our African-owned pharmaceutical companies in a more coordinated approach. I think these are all kinds of things that can be brought together within an African Association of Pharmacy Schools. Thank you. And obviously, there's other things in terms of academic, having our own African pharmaceutical journals that are accredited, global visibility of the pharmaceutical sciences researches that are happening within Africa and how we play at the coordinated approach in the global stage. And also, things like joint appointment employment offers, in more facilitated through these kind of associations. Thank you, Prosper, for that. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Thank you, Yaya. You said something very strong. We should avoid fragmentation.
Yes.
Fragmentation is one of the weakness of our continent. We have to move together to go in the same way.
Yes.
Thank you. My brother Shiluba, what values could the member institution and academic can bring to an African-wide pharmacy association? What do you think, Shiluba?
Thank you, Prosper, for this opportunity. First of all, I would like to start by thanking the FIP leadership and also the UNITWIN leadership, and also to just thank the founders of this brilliant initiative. I remember when I first thought of subscribing the University of Zambia Faculty of Pharmacy to academic institution membership of FIP. One of the things that I kept on asking Nian is how exactly will an institution like the University of Zambia benefit? What value does it have us joining this initiative? And obviously at the time, there was a thinking of possibly having access to grants and so on, facilitated by FIP to help us develop infrastructure-wise and both laboratory and just a classroom space. And then when we were discussing this idea of having an association in Mombasa, again, I asked the same questions, and I must say that having this association, Africa-wide association for pharma schools is, I consider this more of a leveler. It's more or less like levels the playing field in the long run. What is common to see, having moved around from experience, is that there's an even distribution of expertise and also just laboratory equipment across the continent. And this initiative is going to be very important moving forward because it will have least developed institutions have access to some of the sophisticated or state-of-the-art equipment which could be available in other countries. At the same time, we get to see that there is also an even distribution of expertise. So we see that having these two things in place will allow for staff exchanges to take place in between different institutions. We will be able to do joint research projects. We can then also have joint grant applications. There are many other things that we can think of which can go as far as joint postgraduate student supervision. Access to external examiners is likely to be improved. This will allow us to train more people, examine more people within the shortest possible time. because we will reduce the burden of having issues of costs associated with external examination. Introduction of more programs, postgraduate programs, is also likely to be enhanced. We are talking about collaborative program curriculum development. So this really must be looked at as a game changer in pharmacy education in Africa. And I'm very hopeful that more institutions which haven't considered joining IIM will think about this and look at this initiative with a positive mind, because as already been said by other people, together we will win. Thank you.
Thank you, Cyril. Together we will win with our association for the interest of our continent, of our profession, for the development of our profession. Let me move to Khalid. Khalid, we have been very dynamic in the coordination of the toolkit and being also lecturer in Kano, in Bayrou University. What do you think, on your own perspective, what could be the benefits of such an association? You who have been working everywhere to promote the pharmacy.
Thank you so much, Prosper, and hello, everyone. First of all, let me seize this opportunity to congratulate and thank the FIP, the leadership of FIP, for such a milestone in changing the dynamics or the parameter in terms of pharmacy education, not only in Africa, but globally. The question is very important from the young academics perspective, because obviously I represent the young academics or young academicians. The establishment of African-wide Pharmacy School Association will bring about a lot of benefit to us, the young academicians. For instance, it will create a room for us to link up with mentors in the academia in our various fields of expertise, because even in the academia, pharmacy profession, there are different areas of specialization. So it will serve as a room or an opportunity to link up, especially the young academics, to link up with mentors in different fields, so that it will facilitate access to grant, research grant, and scholarships. For instance, there are a lot of opportunities, scholarship and grant opportunity by the World Academy of Science, the TIWAS, which is trying to help African or developing institutions in terms of academia and research. Mostly you will find out that African institutions are lagging behind. I think from my own understanding, in the whole of Africa, only few institutions, 1 or 2 from Africa region, are benefiting from such initiative by the World Academy of Science. So when we have an African-wide school association, it will help bridge this gap, getting us access to more of such grant and scholarship opportunities. And secondly, for the young academics, or for instance, for graduate programs in pharmacy, masters and PhD, it can be a bridge builder for creating something like summer schools, as what I have experienced from my stay in Europe. When you have PhD summer schools specializing in a particular field, you will have a lot of expertise being invited from across the globe or from across the region in this case, that can also help in boosting the strength of the postgraduate education in pharmacy profession. And additionally, when you have such association, there is tendency that it will add value to advocacy. And when you treat advocacy as a silo, as an individual institution or country, it may not have weight as if when you have an organization, you come together and you make the advocacy, it will be more hard and it will be more impactful. So this can also help a lot. And in a long run, all in all this will bring about building academic capacity, workforce academic capacity in pharmacy education in the region, and at the same time, increasing the pharmacy or healthcare workforce in the region. And also that can also even proliferate across other regions of the globe. And at long run also, it will bring about improve in the infrastructural development in terms of pharmacy education, both at undergraduate and postgraduate level. This is a little I have to share because of the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Walid. Very, very interesting, very rich. You know, what you have said about the World Academic of Science, which only a few countries can reach now. It's a good example to show that being in an association, we can get more access to many interesting programs and projects.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Redouane.
Yes.
Alors, tu veux parler en français ou en anglais?
As you like.
As I like. Okay. I wanted a bit of French in this meeting also. So we'll speak in French. I will translate.
Let's give some payments in French, like we give the opportunity maybe to our colleagues from African French countries to have some maybe insights in French.
Ok, bon. Alors, la question que je vais te poser, cher frère, c'est qu'est-ce que les membres des institutions, de l'académie, qu'est-ce qu'ils peuvent apporter demain à l'association des facultés de pharmacie en Afrique? Quel peut être leur apport? On a parlé de l'intérêt de l'association, mais pour ceux qui en bénéficient, qu'est-ce qu'ils peuvent apporter pour le succès de cette association demain?
Merci Prosper pour cette question. Tout d'abord, je tenais à remercier la Fédération internationale de pharmacie pour l'organisation de cet événement et pour le brillant projet qui est en cours sur FIP UNESCO UNITWIN, les objectifs de développement des programmes de formation. Mais c'est une opportunité unique pour, je pense, pour notre continent, pour avoir une standardisation d'un curriculum qui nous permettra de suivre les standards internationaux, parce qu'il faut savoir que ça a évolué dans les pays développés et puis il y a une traîne quelque part dans notre région, justement pour que nous puissions avoir une formation qui est adaptée, qui est adéquate en fonction des demandes de la pratique de la pharmacie, en l'occurrence l'officine, la pharmacie hospitalière. Et si je peux parler du cas de l'Algérie pour d'abord faire un overview avant de répondre à votre question, c'est que nous avons un programme qui a été, je pense, qui date des années 60 ou 70 et qui n'est pas évolué avec le temps. Et notre métier a vraiment évolué durant les dernières décennies, mais on voit aujourd'hui que notre formation elle est déconnectée de la réalité, c'est-à-dire qu'il est déconnecté de la pratique pharmaceutique. Il est nécessaire, il est temps aujourd'hui qu'il y ait une adaptation, ce qui est le cas pour l'Algérie, où il y a des réformes, il y a des discussions au sein des universités, et la Fédération algérienne de pharmacie est en train aussi de contribuer, de participer. Nous avons eu ici aussi la chance de travailler aussi sur les FIP Development Goals, par lesquels nous sommes en train de faire un état des lieux, nous sommes en train d'apprendre beaucoup de choses et qui vont nous permettre en Algérie justement de contribuer et d'aider avec cette expertise internationale. Maintenant, pour répondre à votre question, quel serait le rôle des associations académiques? Qui jouent un rôle très important, parce que nous avons besoin d'abord d'avoir un réseau régional, parce que nous avons les mêmes défis, les mêmes problématiques. Et ça permettra d'apprendre des problématiques des uns et des autres. Nous faisons partie d'un réseau international au sein de la FIP. Nous avons l'opportunité d'avoir des experts, nous avons l'opportunité d'avoir des programmes, nous avons l'opportunité d'avoir des guidelines tels que le toolkit qui a été présenté aujourd'hui. Et je pense que c'est une opportunité vraiment, encore une fois, unique qui nous aidera d'avoir l'ensemble de ces ingrédients, les guidelines, les experts, qui nous aidera, parce que nous avons essayé, par exemple en Algérie, et puis nous avons trouvé un certain nombre de défaillances parce que on n'a pas on suit pas l'actualité, on suit pas les standards à l'échelle internationale. Et aujourd'hui, le fait d'avoir ce réseau nous permettra exactement d'avoir l'opportunité d'avoir ce réseau, d'avoir toutes ces informations justement qui nous permettra d'aller de l'avant. Et pour conclure, le fait qu'il y ait ce réseau africain qui nous permettra de s'asseoir ensemble, d'identifier les problématiques ensemble, nous permettra et d'apprendre aussi de ce qui se passe à l'échelle internationale pour pouvoir établir des éléments communs, mais qui répondent à nos besoins ici, locales, afin de répondre aux besoins des pharmaciens, quelle que soit leur pratique, et d'avoir, encore une fois, une graduation et une post-graduation adaptée en fonction de leurs besoins.
Merci, merci beaucoup. Just a few words to translate what the interesting address of Redouane from Algeria. He has said the African-wide association of pharmacy school is a unique opportunity for pharmacists to grow, to come to a standardization of curricula, to have a training, adapted education. He has given the example of his country where the program were made in 1970. The program is still the same now. They are not actual. They have to actualize that program. They have to adapt them to the new context of the world. And they are working on it. They are supporting the idea of the association because it will give a network, a very important network, to come together to address the problem of the pharmacy together, problem of education, but also of practice. He talked about community pharmacies, and there is change is needed in his country. This change can come when Africa is organized through an association we are trying to work with. Thank you. Thank you. I think I didn't. Do you want to add something in English? Very few.
I think, Prosper, I think you covered the most important points. But again, we, as Algerian Pharmaceutical Federation, we support this initiative. And again, it will be really a very good opportunity for us as Algerian organization for pharmacy education, but also for the region in Africa, to have this network, to have the international expertise within the FIP that would help us and support us in order to move forward with the standardization of the graduation and post-graduation of pharmacy education.
Thank you, Redouane. For me, you have replaced Professor Reda.
Yeah, I apologize, Professor Reda. You know, he has a center of COVID of analysis in his hospital, and he has some urgent commitment with the Ministry of Health. So he apologize on behalf of Professor Djidjik, and I try to address. I'm not teaching at the university, but I'm very involved within the Algerian Pharmaceutical Federation with the team here, with the education section, in order to support within the FIP, like liaison, and try to help and support to progress things with the pharmacy education in my country.
Thank you, thank you, Redouane. Professor Cyril Isifo, I wanted to conclude the first part of the question, of the first part of our session there by you. You have given us the history of the program, the UNITWIN program in the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN program. You are one of the founders. What do you think could be the benefits? I know you can tell a lot about that. What can be the benefits if you had to list it, maybe 2 or 3 important benefits for our country, for our institution, for our region to have an association for pharmacy school?
Thank you, Prosper. One of the main benefits is the cross-fertilization of ideas, where universities will be able to compare notes, and maybe the regulators will be able to bring curriculum and have a harmony of curriculum. 2 will be the fact that those who are properly staffed might be able to help other countries where they are not properly staffed. For example, a professor from my university or University of Maiduguri, for example, can assist another university in Malawi. Then thirdly, despite the challenges of language and other things, mentorship becomes very vital, because you'll be able to mentor a lot of young people and bring to bear what we need and be able to train ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cyril. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I don't know if we have enough time, but I will give the floor to our friend of Puerto Rico, Wanda, who will give us the experience of his region, the experience of many years of association there, the Iberic American Conference of School of Pharmacy. I think we have to follow her and to learn from them. I give you the floor, Wanda.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for inviting me to share our experience with you. And I'm very excited to see this initiative moving forward. I think the African continent will benefit greatly from having this association instituted. So many of the issues that we have mentioned are applicable, as from the organization that I have been working with, the Ibero-American Conference. I have had the pleasure being, from Puerto Rico and the U.S. educational system. I have had the pleasure to also engage with the Central and South American region in terms of how their education in pharmacy moves forward. For the past 11 years, I have worked with them. And as you move forward to create your organization, I can probably share some of the insights of what we have gone through in our organization. Being an organization that groups many countries in the Central South American region, Spain and Portugal, I can tell you that obviously you understand that you will need to start from the beginning thinking of what kind of bylaws you would have in place for this organization, what governance structure, what the governance structure will look like in terms of how the countries will collaborate in that governance structure, as you want all the countries who conform the association to be represented in some way. At the COIFA, we have the equivalent of a board of directors, a Comisión Permanente, and we also have vocals for different regions. And we meet annually to have a business meeting as well as an educational meeting. In our organization, the fiduciary part resides in Mexico City. So whatever you choose your fiduciary establishment will be, you will have to think about where will it be friendlier to have that organization reside, because you will encounter issues of, how do people pay their dues? What are the regulations for each country? As each one may have different issues in terms of handling those dues. The language, you have all talked about the language. In this conference, official language is Spanish, although we have some members from who are Portuguese speaking, and that at times may represent difficulty, but we have been able to engage in such a way that we have been able to understand each other. But you have mentioned that you have English speaking, French speaking, probably other languages as well. You have to, have that conversation. Will the minutes be in just one language? Will the minutes be in, 2 languages at least? That conversation needs to happen. Our organization, how have we benefit from having this organization? Certainly, I go to these meetings and I bring some of the experience we have in the US pharmacy education system. And then I learn so much from the other countries in the way they handle very creatively the challenges they face with, the education in the different countries. And, South America is not a monolith. Every country is very different. You will always also have to think about the differences in the Pharmacy Practice Act in each country, how those differences represent differences in the way the degrees that are conferred and what the practice allows the pharmacist to do or not to, because those are opportunities for the educational programs. We have found that for us, there are 4 elements that have been crucial in terms of advancement of pharmacy education, and those are faculty mobility, student mobility, faculty development, and curricular development. Those are very important aspects that I'm sure that when you create your association, you will be able to benefit from those elements. And then during the COVID period, we were able to develop a lot of webinars to share best practices from the different countries. So it is an opportunity to share best practices, to share challenges, and how can other countries share how do they handle those challenges. So I believe that this is a great opportunity for your countries to come together as a continent and move forward pharmacy education, taking care of those issues of governance, language, where the association will reside, who will be the members. The COIFA at the beginning was just pharmacy deans, the members of the association, but then we moved forward and now we have institutional members as well as individual members. And we worked on the curricular harmonization, and that work was presented briefly at the FIP meeting in Glasgow several years ago. And we keep moving on that direction. You can have some sort of curricular harmonization, not complete because of the difference in the context of pharmacy practice within the countries, but you can come with a consensus in terms of, which way should pharmacy education, pharmacy practice should be moving forward. So I know with that, I'm open to any questions you may have.
Thank you. Thank you. Very rich and very helpful for the future of our organization, of the association. We have to learn from you, and it will be interesting to come to visit your country one day and to see how things are done there physically, not virtually like we are doing now because of COVID-19. Right. Okay, thank you. Thank you to all of you. Now it's time for an announcement. I will give the floor to the Assistant Secretary of APF, Associate Professor in the University of Lagos, Chief Department of Clinical Pharmacy in Biopharmacy in Nigeria. I will give the floor to the Nigerian lady, Dr. Arinola Joda, for the announcement.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the introduction, President. Thank you to the organizers, to FIP, for putting this together. It is very much appreciated. I will be sitting or standing on the existing protocol, and we'll just go straight into my announcement. So the African Pharmaceutical Forum is organizing a regional workshop this year. And one of the interesting parts of this regional workshop is that we're taking the bull by the horn in terms of looking at establishing an African-wide pharmacy school. Actually, APF had committed to FIP to lead the charge on this establishment. And we're using this regional workshop. One of the sub-themes of this regional workshop will be on establishing the regional, the African-wide Association of Faculties of Pharmacy, or Schools of Pharmacy, or Colleges of Pharmacy, as we will choose to call it at the end of the day. FIP will be, APF will be providing that steering responsibility for the association to take off. and very thankful to Wanda for the information that she has shared from the experience in Puerto Rico and USA. That will really help the association going forward. We have actually written to countries to provide the names of faculty deans or department heads of pharmacy that would serve as contact persons in this establishment. The regional workshop, to not cut the story of the regional workshop short, has a theme on technological innovations for pharmacy in Africa amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Somebody mentioned, how can we be talking of developing education when we can't even meet face-to-face? That's the current reality. We would have to learn, and we have to unlearn some things where we think that we can only do things when we are in front of each other, and learn how to do things virtually, because that is our current reality. And technology will help us do that. Technology will give us the tools that we need to be able to work with in this pandemic. Our keynote speaker is from Ghana. He's a lecturer with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, is Dr. John Sebe Mafo, and he'll be taking this topic to give us an insight on what to do. Our first sub-theme, which I'd already intimated you with, is on setting up the African Association of Faculties of Pharmacy. And our sub-theme speaker for this topic will be Professor Cyril Usophil, who has been there from the beginning. So he knows what to do in guiding the members of that workshop on what to do. Our second sub-theme is on vaccination through pharmacy. You can see that we are challenging a lot of things that are issues in Africa, in pharmacy in Africa: technology, vaccination, setting up this African Association of Pharmacy. And our speaker is from South Africa. She's from Jackie Maymin, and she's the CEO of the Independent Community Pharmacy Association, Cape Town, South Africa. And she'll be doing justice to this topic because in South Africa, they are already involved in a private-public arrangement with the government to ensure that retail pharmacies are included in the policy of ensuring that the South African person or the residents in South Africa gets vaccinated. And they're involved in these COVID vaccines. They have been involved even with childhood vaccinations through pharmacy for those that cannot be that are not on health insurance. So through the public private service, the government channels vaccines to the independent community pharmacies, and from there the individual can access it. So for the workshop, we'll be inviting our faculty deans from across the continent in physical attendance at the venue of the workshop. Of course, we'll have some APF Exco members, we have some PSN members, because the event will be happening in Lagos, Nigeria. We'll have some deans that are around us here in Lagos, and then we'll have some members of ESCO of PSN joining us, as well as some members that have served APF in the past. But it will be a blended event. And one thing I want to share with you, I was very excited when my back-end technical man was telling me that he has the facility through YouTube. So people that want to register for the blended conference, they'll be able to select if they want the language they will be spoken to will be in English, will be French. I think we're going to limit it to three languages. So I will confer with the president of APF on the third language to include whether Portuguese or Spanish. So members that are going to join the call can access the workshop through the YouTube link, and they'll be able to select the language they want to listen to the workshop on. And so you see that we're taking the language issue very seriously, even from this workshop. We know that language will be a major issue, and we're confronting it head on. So we're using this opportunity to invite everybody on this call. We'll be doing formal letters to the ESCO of FIP, of the Bureau of FIP, of PSN, and other regional associations, as well as the deans across the continent, to join us in that workshop where we take on these knotty issues that are affecting us as a continent. Thank you very much. And over to you, President. Happy birthday again. You're actually my brother's birthday mate. His birthday is also today.
Thank you so much, Arinola. Thank you. Okay, let us look at the Q&A Alison, is there any question?
Thank you, Prosper. There is one question. The person says that Wanda raised a very important point regarding language barrier. So for the African-wide Pharmacy Association, is there a plan to include further languages apart from English and French, example, Portuguese? Thank you.
I can answer the question very quickly and say that we are on the way of working on it, because now you have many advantages with technology, to translate documents, to translate voices, to translate addresses, everything. It is not like when I was a student. Now you can learn the language very fast. You can have the translation very fast. In the African Forum, it is a question that is addressed, that people should know at least 2 or 3 languages. I am a Francophone, but my country is bilingual. That's why I'm trying to speak your first language. But you in Nigeria, French is your second language. People should also speak French normally, regularly. We will work on it. The other language in our pipe is Spanish, and the other one, the fourth one is Portuguese, because we have Angola, we have Mozambique, we have Guinea-Bissau. We need to attract all those brothers and sisters and colleagues working for the continent, for the development of pharmacy. You can assure all the African who did not speak the main languages, French and English, that APF has that as its duty. Thank you, Alison. Any other question?
No, Prosper, that's all the questions. We've responded to some of the questions already by typing. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I want to conclude by I want to conclude this session, this second part, by a message, a positive message. What I've realized is that all the members, all the people, all the speakers have talked about the interest, the advantage, and the benefit of the association. We have to look forward. There will be many challenges other regions have faced, but we have to learn from them. We have the toolkit, which is there, which can guide us. We have to go through, and we have to begin somewhere. And our regional forum will be the first step of expansion of the UNITWIN, the UNESCO, FIP UNITWIN UNESCO program in the other countries. We have to continue to advocate. We have to continue to attract other members in APF. I think that with what I've heard today as positive message, we'll go forward. We'll win together. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to FIP. Thank you for organizing my birthday. Thank you, Nilan. Thank you, Alison. Thank you, Aisu, and all of you. Thanks. I think we have gone more than 30 minutes, but it was interesting. Thank you very much. I will give now the floor to Ralph.
So Thank you, Prosper, and thank you, panelists. That was a superb session. It was very thoughtful, great comments, and advice and guidance and insights for moving forward. And it was really a pleasure to listen to everyone's comments on all of this. And I think everybody is obviously in agreement that this is an important initiative, and look forward to working with all of you to make it happen. So again, thank you so much to all of our speakers and our panelists, extremely well done, as well as for our event organizers. Obviously, there's a lot of food for thought from this, the various presentations today. So I believe you can go back and see this because it's recorded. If you need to catch up on anything that you may have missed, and think about what the possibilities are for you and in regional UNITWIN programs, as well as the African Association. So, and again, if you have any questions, you've seen the email address, education@fip.org. Send comments, questions, etc. there if you need some clarifications. I think this has been said several times now from the panelists and others in the chat. There's nothing like getting together with your colleagues to address issues, to address challenges, to solve problems, but beyond that, to innovate new ways of doing things and educating the next generations that are coming, and just brainstorming about what the future should be and can be and will be when you work together. So I think both from the UNITWIN program that exists now and the others that we want to form, as well as these associations, these are the places to do it. And this is how we learn from each other and share things and really elevate education, practice, science through all of these collaborative efforts. So just congratulations to all of you for the work that's been done. It's superb, and really look forward to the developments that will happen in the years ahead. So again, thank you, everybody. And I'm going to turn it over to Nilhan for a few final words. And thank you, everybody who has stayed on this event. Many of you are hanging on. I know we're way over time, but really appreciate you sticking with us. Nilhan?
Thank you, Ralph. We are closing the event, and again, thank you very much for staying a bit longer. The conversations are really rich, so we took the liberty to extend it a little bit. So thanks for committing your time, also to our speakers. We mentioned a couple of times, we are looking forward to have you amongst our membership. So you may visit our website, next slide. And you may also explore our membership benefits in our website, and so that we can welcome you at our regional workshops for the needs assessment. We would love to hear from you and your country. Next slide, please. So again, what is next? Important to emphasize once again, we'll be holding FIP UNITWIN Educational Transformation Regional Workshops in October. But before that, we would like to conduct the pre-work with you. So we hope to have you, if you are not a member yet, amongst FIP membership, so we can welcome you at our regional workshops. Also, as my colleagues from African Pharmaceutical Forum mentioned, there will be an Africa-wide workshop led by the African Pharmaceutical Forum. And you may also contact us, so we can support you with getting access to the workshop. Next slide, please. So finally, again, we hope this toolkit will inspire pharmacy schools to develop further partnerships to pave the way for education and scientific transformations at their countries. And FIP is fully committed to provide necessary platforms through the FIP-UNESCO UNITWIN Programme. And we are committed to support our African Pharmaceutical Forum to lead the establishment of the much needed Africa-wide Pharmacy School Association. You may scan the QR code, or I'll drop the link once again for the digital toolkit Please go and explore yourself. And if you have any questions, you may contact us at education@fip.org. We'll be answering your questions. We also invite you to share this toolkit across your network with those who may benefit from it. And you may also join the discussion on social media by using the hashtags we provided here on this slide. Next slide, please. Thank you, colleagues, for attending. I would like to again sincerely thank our co-moderators for chairing this session excellently, to our speakers, to panelists, and my co-facilitators for an excellent session, and of course to you, our participants, for joining us, staying us 30 minutes more with us from all around the world today. Again, I invite you to explore our digital toolkit. Please share your expression of interest to become a part of the FIP UNESCO UNITWIN Programme or to join the APF regional workshop, and you may contact us at education@fip.org. Thank you for your support to FIP's mission to transform global pharmacy education. Have a nice day, afternoon, or evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Happy birthday, Prosper.
Bye-bye, everyone, and happy birthday, Prosper.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye-bye, everybody. It's good to be here.